Today, we're diving into something that could literally change our relationship with the planet. It's called the regenerative revolution. And it's this powerful idea that we can actually heal the Earth just by changing how we grow our food. So, for a long time now, we've been on a path that looks a lot like this graph. As our population has just exploded, the health of our environment has taken a nosedive. It's pretty clear that if we don't change course, these two curves are headed for a collision. And that's not going to be good for any of us. But here's a thought. What if the problem actually holds the solution? What if the very thing we do to feed ourselves, something so often blamed for environmental damage, could be the key to healing our planet? I know, it's a radical idea, but it's at the very heart of what we're about to explore. Now, when you think about saving the environment, I'm guessing cattle aren't the first thing that comes to mind, right? For decades, they've kind of been painted as the bad guys. But what if, and stick with me here, what if, when managed the right way, they aren't the villains at all, but an essential part of the solution? Okay, so the framework for this idea is called holistic management. It was developed by an ecologist named Alan Savory. And look, it's not just a set of farming tips. It's a whole new way of thinking. It's a system for making decisions that actually accounts for the whole picture: the land, the animals, the people, and even the economics of it all. This quote from the Prince of Wales just nails the core concept. Think about it. Nature evolved with these huge herds of grazing animals. The way they ate, the way they moved, their waste, it was all part of a natural cycle that kept grasslands super healthy. When we pull them off the land, that cycle breaks, and the land starts to suffer. So how does this actually work? Well, it's built on 4 key principles. First, you have to see nature as one big interconnected community. Second, you've got to be flexible. Nature is complex and always changing, so your plans need to be able to adapt. Third, and this is the big one, we can use our domestic livestock to mimic the behavior of those ancient wild herds, to play the part of lost keystone species. And finally, you have to understand that time is your most powerful tool. How long animals are in one spot and how long that spot gets to rest, that is everything. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Let's take a quick trip around the globe and look at some of these farms of the future. And what's amazing is how diverse these success stories are. In Spain, a 500-hectare farm went totally chemical-free in just 2 years. Down in Colombia, a small deforested plot was turned into this thriving farm, producing everything from meat to honey. And get this, in Argentina, a huge farm said no to GMO monoculture and still got the same yields as its neighbors for less than half the cost. It just goes to show you, these principles can work anywhere. You know, these success stories show that the benefits go way beyond the farm. When you heal the land, you create this incredible ripple effect that touches our environment, our economy, and our communities. Let's break down that triple impact. So it's a win-win-win. Economically, farmers get higher productivity with way fewer expensive inputs. Socially, it means better jobs in rural areas and more nutritious food for all of us. And environmentally, the benefits are just huge: more wildlife, healthier soils, and yeah, a powerful new tool to fight climate change. And that climate change part is maybe one of the most exciting things. You see, healthy living grasslands are like giant sponges for CO2. They pull incredible amounts of it out of the atmosphere and lock it away safely in the soil. Regenerative ranches aren't just carbon neutral. They become what some people are calling carbon bombs, actively sucking carbon out of the air. The benefits even show up on our dinner plates. So let's look at some numbers. First up, beef from these regenerative systems, it has 3 to 5 times more vitamin E than the conventional stuff. How about this one? We're talking up to 500% more CLA. That's a compound that studies have shown has some pretty significant anti-cancer benefits. 500%! And this comparison is maybe the most dramatic. Let's talk about the omega fatty acid ratio. Conventional beef can have a ratio as high as 14 to 1 of omega-6 to omega-3. That's really not what you want. It's pro-inflammatory. Regenerative beef, on the other hand, completely flips the script. Its ratio is below 2.5 to 1. That's anti-inflammatory. We're talking a profile that's on par with wild salmon. Incredible, right? But let's be real for a second. This kind of massive transformation isn't like flipping a switch. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, you know? It's a process that takes planning, patience, and frankly, a whole different way of looking at things. This journey usually happens in stages. A farmer might start small, testing their soil, planting some cover crops. Then they move on to more advanced stuff, like using diverse crop mixes and cutting back on chemical fertilizers. And eventually, they get to this advanced stage where the soil is measurably healthier, the farm is more resilient, and they can even get paid more for their products. It's a step-by-step evolution. There's another related practice called rational voice-in grazing. It's a system of really carefully managing where and for how long your animals graze. And the pros are pretty clear. You slash feeding costs, the animals are healthier so they need less medication, you stop soil erosion, and you actually get more meat per hectare. But of course, it's not without its challenges. It's more hands-on. You've got to be out there moving animals and fences pretty frequently. And it's definitely not for the impatient. The really big transformative results, those can take 3 or 4 years to show up because you have to heal the soil first, then the grass, and then finally the animals really start to thrive. And really, all of these ideas come back to the work of Alan Savory, laid out in his foundational book. It gives us a whole new framework for making decisions, a way to help us manage the incredible complexity of nature. Alan Savory himself puts it best. He argues that just tweaking things around the edges isn't enough to solve the crisis we're in. He says, slowing down won't stop you from driving your car over a cliff. It just delays the crash. You have to change direction completely. And that's really the call to action here. When you look at the science and the success stories, it really seems like the solution is right under our feet. It's in the soil. So the question isn't just for farmers, it's for all of us. Are we ready to change the way we grow? Thanks for joining me.